In all your experience, and you've seen a ton, brother, what would you say to somebody that is considering franchising their business?
I would say don't do it unless you really understand what it is that you're doing, right? You're you're moving it, like I said earlier, you're moving into a new type of business. So you you are you are taking a ongoing payment and an upfront payment from an individual, and in exchange for that, the promise that you are going to support them, not guarantee, but you are taking a promise. You are making a 10-year, in most cases, relationship with somebody. And you're basically saying, if we do what we say we'll do, and you do what you say you'll do, we will be successful. And
Mhm.
9 out of 10 times, if both parties do those things, you will be successful.
Yeah.
Um, but don't do it if you're doing it because you view it as a way to, generate revenue from franchisees off initial franchise fees only, right? Don't do it if that's the mindset that you have. Franchising is a long-term commitment on both sides of the relationship, and when done well, it's a magical thing.
Welcome to Enrich Your Empire with Richie Huffman, the ultimate podcast for entrepreneurship, impactful wealth building, and effective team leadership. It's time to enrich your business and create a lasting legacy. Let's get to work. Hey guys, welcome back to the Enrich Your Empire with Richie Huffman. Today I stole a couple seconds from Matt Holler. Matt is a good friend of mine. He's also the president of IFA. That is the International Franchise Association, with about 1,300 of the top franchise brands that we've all heard of. Matt and I spoke about what the IFA is doing to protect the industry and how its members can utilize the organization to help grow their brand. I know that Matt's been a huge mentor of mine and one of the key successes here at the Celebrity School brand. Hope you enjoy our show. All right, guys. So I am here with a really good friend of mine, Matt Holler from the IFA. Matt, thank you for being with us today, brother.
Great to see you, Richie. Good to be with you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you, sir. So listen, first of all, I want to just thank you for all that you do for the IFA and for business owners that are expanding their brand through the franchise model. And we became IFA members back in 2019, actually before we even launched our brand here of Celebrity School. And I really used it and didn't really know what it was, but I really just was curious about what IFA was and what it did and what it stood for. And I really have a clear picture of that today. And I just want to thank you for that. And I think as our relationship and as our brand has matured, and really as I have matured as a leader, I really have learned to value and appreciate not only you, but what the IFA does. So I wanted to start by thanking you for that.
Yeah, you're quite welcome, and thank you for being a member. We're a membership organization. We only exist because our members feel like there's value in the work that we do, which I'm sure we could talk about
Yeah.
some of the things that we're doing. But thank you.
You're welcome. And it's so funny because I had two guys in my office yesterday that were considering franchising their brand, and the first recommendation I gave them was join the IFA. Join the
Love it.
IFA, get involved, surround yourself with those that are already where you're at or well ahead of you, and just soak it all up. The one thing that I was blown away before we get started of the organization itself is the overall commitment of its members to support and help one another. I was totally blown away. I never had witnessed anything like that before.
Yeah, and talk is cheap, but people actually do it, right? And in other industries, I feel like this is the third industry I've served in a trade association
Hmm.
with. You don't see that
Oh,
in more hyper competitive industries. I mean, you're competitive with other brands in the education
totally.
space, no doubt, right? But there's lots of franchising. You strip away the industry that you're in, it's really the same,
Yes,
and
exactly.
they're very willing to share. So I appreciate that.
I tell everybody it's almost like it's an obligation. Like it's like an obligation. Like you don't have a choice but to help your fellow franchisees or franchisors succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
So for those that are just joining us, like let's start out by even just talking about what is the IFA and maybe just a little bit of history. I think when people think about franchising, Matt, they immediately go to, McDonald's. So why don't we start by just giving an overall picture of what is the IFA and a little bit of history of the organization and really how far it's come through the years.
Sure. So we are a membership trade association. We're based here in Washington, D.C., right down on K Street, and we've been around for almost 70 years now.
Hmm.
We have 1,300 franchisor members of the association, about 800 supplier members, and
Hmm.
tens of thousands of individual franchisees who are members of the IFA. And our mission has always been and remains to this day very simple. It's to protect, to enhance, and to promote franchising as a business model. And so we do that through government relations and advocacy work, talking to lawmakers and talking to the media about the impact that public policy would have either favorably or unfavorably on franchising. Uh, when we talk about enhancing franchising, the middle pillar of our mission, that's a lot of the networking and the conferences and events, the education, the relationship building that occurs through being involved in the membership of the IFA. And we talk about, the different events that we do and the different education programs that we have. And then the last pillar of our mission is promoting franchising. So we do a lot of research. We have a foundation that promotes franchising to the public, and then within different affinity groups, people from underrepresented communities, veterans communities, and those types of things. So getting the public aware of the opportunity that exists to become business owners through the franchise model, and of course, steering them towards brands like Celebree, who are members of the organization. So we're not a broker per se, but we have a platform through our website and publications and the events that we do that are public facing, like the expos that help educate people about the business model, the opportunities that exist, and those brands that choose to be a member of the IFA, we believe are those looking at franchising the right way. And that is a badge of honor that, frankly, membership, it's not a right, it's a privilege. And with that come a certain set of expectations that we have that our members are, conducting franchising the right way.
That's
So that's a little bit about us. We have 47 staff that work for the organization on the professional staff side in different areas. And then we have lots of volunteer leaders and support through various committees and forums that we operate in different areas.
Yeah. And speaking for myself, Matt, I would add one more pillar to that, or maybe it's baked somewhere in one of your pillars, is that, you're constantly educating the franchisors. I mean,
Yeah.
you opened my eyes on a lot of different situations. And I know when you spoke at our annual conference last year, you made it quite clear we're in two businesses. We're in the franchise business, and we're also I mean, we're in the franchise business, and we're also in the early education business.
No,
And
that's exactly right, Richie. And a lot of times emerging brands may not fully recognize, you're maybe moving away from what you were doing when you were a corporate run organization to becoming a franchising company, equally, if not more so. And that your franchisees are really now in the business of education and engaging with the consumer. And you're in the business of supporting them and obviously growing the brand. And to your point about, the IFA's role in educating franchisors, that is in that enhanced pillar, that middle pillar. So the relationships, the conferences, our certification program, our certified franchise executive program, that's a lot of what we do when you join the organization. You can join, you can send us a membership check, but if you don't put your people through that program, if you don't use us to recruit talent from the industry, as you need more people in ops or technology or development or marketing or whatever it may be, then you're not taking full advantage of the opportunity that exists to get out of IFA what you put into it as an organization.
Totally. And then utilize those relationships that you've established when you come to these IFA events and like you mentioned, these breakout sessions where you have some of the most successful brands in the world that are in attendance of these events. And I mean, and then creating friendships outside or mentors or even advisors outside of the IFA.
Right. And the supplier network. I mean,
Mm.
as you scale as a brand, you're going to need suppliers that understand the franchising business, not just the education business. Right. And those types of supplier partners, so many people are finding through the IFA, through our trade show, through our supplier network. And that's really another big benefit of the organization.
Got it. So thank you for that description. I guess my next question would kind of be in educating our listeners of, what are some of the things that we're working on? What are things, some of the things that we've accomplished over the last several years?
Yeah, we've been successful as a business model. If we just look at the data and our research, continue to grow over the last, I'll put it in the period coming out of COVID, let's say, for the last 4 years. But it's been a challenging time around issues of inflation or interest rates, supply chain, and then you add on some of the more, I would call them punitive proposed regulations that were coming out of the most recent administration at the federal level and then at various states that really targeted franchising unnecessarily.
Hmm.
I talk about something like the joint employer rule, which would really strike at the heart of the franchise business model, or investigations by the Federal Trade Commission that from our perspective were not taking into account the lion's share of franchise relationships that are healthy and prosperous and beneficial for both parties. We've been able to successfully, despite those regulations being proposed, strike them down either through Congress, through the courts, or through a combination of Congress, the courts, and good old fashioned shoe leather lobbying and relationship building with lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. So as we come out of the last several years, the business model has outpaced the growth of the overall economy, which I believe is a testament to the strength of franchising and a testament to the success of the IFA's lobbying. And when I talk about the IFA's lobbying, our members are a big part of that. That's one of the biggest benefits of representing an industry that is in every state, in every congressional district. People have relationships with lawmakers at all levels of government in our membership, and we leverage those as a team. So now, as we pivot to a new environment in 2025 with the incoming administration and a new makeup in Congress, we think there's a lot of opportunity to address a lot of these, go on offense really, and put to rest some of the uncertainty that has faced franchising around a regulatory environment over the last decade. So just using the joint employer issue as one example, franchisors and franchisees have faced 4 different joint employer laws in the last 10 years. That creates tremendous amount of uncertainty for brands and for their franchisees that puts pressure on the relationship. We think the time has come to create settled law permanently around the joint employer issue in this Congress. The other thing that's on our radar screen for 2025 is there are all of the tax provisions in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that are expiring at the end of this calendar year if Congress does not act to extend those for franchise business people. So there's a number of provisions that are not franchising specific, but are very important for anybody operating as a pass-through entity, an LLC, S corp, or sole proprietorship. So those are huge for franchisees and for franchisors, most of whom are also small businesses that are paying their business taxes on their individual tax returns.
Got it. But I'm just sitting here thinking of the audience, and I think we've already proved in a very short period of time how important the IFA is to those that are already a part of franchising. In all your experience, and you've seen a ton, brother. What would you say to somebody that is considering franchising their business?
I would say don't do it unless you really understand what it is that you're doing, right? You're you're moving it, like I said earlier, you're moving into a new type of business. So you you are you are taking a ongoing payment and an upfront payment from an individual, and in exchange for that, the promise that you are going to support them, not guarantee, but you are taking a promise. You are making a 10-year, in most cases, relationship with somebody. And you're basically saying, if we do what we say we'll do, and you do what you say you'll do, we will be successful. And
Mhm.
9 out of 10 times, if both parties do those things, you will be successful.
Yeah.
But don't do it if you're doing it because you view it as a way to, generate revenue from franchisees off initial franchise fees only, right? Don't do it if that's the mindset that you have. Franchising is a long-term commitment on both sides of the relationship, and when done well, it's a magical thing. When done wrongly, it's problematic for both sides.
So what I heard was, first of all, understand what it means
Yeah.
to franchise your brand. And then what would you again, what would your next advice be for someone that says, Matt, should I franchise my business? I don't know if you get that answer or
We
that
get it
question.
often. We
I
get it
bet.
often. I would say prove that you've done it in multiple places with your money,
Mhm.
right? So prove your concept out, not just in, one school, one gym, one restaurant, one whatever, right? Prove
Yep.
it with your own capital, like
Mhm.
in multiple, and not just in one market, right? At least prove it in multiple locations. Ideally, prove it in multiple markets
Mhm.
before you take that promise, make that promise to some other individual in another market.
Yep. And that's what I was hoping you would say, because that's exactly what I tell everybody. I think here at Celebrity, the reason that we've been so successful is because of the 26 corporate locations and the infrastructure and the process and procedures that were already proven over the last 30 years before we started franchising. And I'm not saying you have to wait 30 years,
Right.
but you do have to prove the concept, and it cannot be the concept cannot be you as the main character in one location. That is not a proven concept.
No doubt. And yeah, you guys may be on a bit of the extreme in the length of time before
Yeah,
franchising, but it's one of the reasons why, you guys are doing it the right way. We talked about the award that we gave Celebrity earlier this year at the IFA's Emerging Franchisor Conference,
yeah.
right? Proof of concept to be a replicable business operated by, an average franchisee on an average day in another market to steal, a mentor of many in franchising's line, David Barr, who advises lots of emerging franchise concepts. Like, don't assume that every franchisee is going to be your top performer and build your business plan based upon, that A+ performer. Build your business plan based upon an average return. And if you can do that successfully, then you're in business.
Got it. And I think you just answered one of my questions. My question was, of course, that we thank you for recognizing that with us. And we did win the IFA 2024 Emerging Brand of the Year Award. And thank you. But the question that I had, and I think you answered several of them, was, how did you guys go about deciding not only the qualifications of the award, but the creation of the award?
Yeah, so this was the first year we did that. We tend to get a lot of applications for our big awards at our convention. One of them is the Entrepreneur of the Year, and what we've had found is a lot of brands were really successful, but were not yet at the level of that criteria. And we wanted to do something to recognize brands that were we felt like had the likelihood of long-term sustainable success, but weren't quite at that. This person is at a, you know the last year's Entrepreneur of the Year award were College Hugs Hauling Junk. I mean, they've been franchising now for well over a decade and have built a second brand. So, we created this new award the awards committee at the IFA are people that have chaired the association's board of directors, so our past chairs committee, and they love the idea. The staff had brought that to them, and we had a really healthy debate and had a lot of great applications this year. And the brand that we landed on for the first year happened to be Celebrate. So look, you guys should deserve it. I know you celebrated a good bit, and let's keep it going, right?
But hearing you explain it, and Matt, and how you went about it, even makes it more special. And with what you said, I promise you, we will not disappoint you or the IFA or the industry.
Well, and that was part of it, and part of that comes with the relationship and character and knowing your team and meeting your franchisees. So I think it's well deserved, and you should continue to tout it from the mountaintops, as I know that you and your team will.
You gave me a new pep in my step today. I appreciate that.
Good. Well, hopefully the Ravens will do that for you again tomorrow.
There you go. Wow. Okay.
And then I just need the Commanders to do that on Sunday.
Okay. Who you guys going to play?
We've got Tampa.
Okay. Well, good luck, brother. Well, again, I appreciate you. I value our friendship. I value all that you do through the IFA and for the IFA and for the 1,300 members that we're associated with. So I appreciate all you do, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to Enrich Your Empire. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Richie Huffman Celebrate. We've got more great episodes lined up for you, so check back with us soon. Until then, stay inspired, stay driven, and keep building your empire.